Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you are, whenever you're watching this. This is Floating in Dreams. Today's video, we're going to be chatting about 10 eyeshadow palettes that I don't own, that I didn't buy, that I'm not interested in buying, so these are never going to be part of my collection, and here's why. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. Today we are going to be chatting about eyeshadow palettes that I did not purchase. Maybe these were on a wish list initially. Maybe these had sparked my interest. Maybe I mentioned them in like one of my new makeup releases video as palettes that I was interested in, but I've decided in the end to not purchase them, and I don't think I will be getting any of these anytime soon. If they are still available, if they still like have any sort of interest to me. I'm going to explain to you today why. Because preferences change. Sometimes things can just look like something you might be interested in, and then, you know, the boat kind of sails away and then you're like, oh yeah, that was that palette. Do I still want to get it? Sometimes I can decide like a year later to get something. So don't pin me down too much on this one, but I definitely think that these palettes will not necessarily become part of my collection for sure. In case you're new here, hi, my name is Maaike. I live in the Netherlands. I like to come on here to chat about eyeshadow palettes, Essence and Catrice reviews, and getting the use out of my makeup. And because I have fair skin with a cool to neutral undertone, I deem myself a snow angel. So if you'd like to join the Snow Angel Club, then definitely hit the subscribe button down below and then join my little family on here. I would love for you to do that. So yeah, today we are going to be chatting about 10 eyeshadow palettes that I decided not to get, even though they seem totally up my street, totally up my street. I will be popping pictures up on the screen here because of course I can't hold them up because I don't have them. So yeah, I've got actually 11 palettes that I want to chat to you about. I thought 10, but I miscalculated when I made the list, so bear with me. The first palette I want to mention, Colourpop's Lush Life. I think you can still buy this. This was released summer last year and it looks stunning. So many people were raving about it, how it was one of the best eyeshadow palettes that Colourpop had done in recent years. It's got neutrals and then the greens and the blues, which for summer is one of my favorite color stories. So this definitely sort of had me go like, when this was released, I was like, that's really stunning. But in the end, I was like, I already have this color story a million times over in my collection. Like I did an entire video in July with my top 10 favorite summer like color stories for the summertime. And everything is like neutrals with a pop of green or a pop of blue or a pop of teal. Like everything in that video. It was like I put it together and as I was filming it, I was like, oh wait, another palette with the same color story. So I knew I didn't have to add this. I don't care how good the quality is. But when it comes to neutral palettes with a pop of teal, a pop of blue, or a pop of green, I'm set for life. I don't need any others. So that's why the Colourpop Lush Life, I'm not going to buy. Then Glamlite, the Icecream Dream, but I could have mentioned any of the releases they've done with Kailav as well. They've come up with 2 palettes with her, and I tried the Glamlite, what's it called, birthday cake? Or the cake palette, and so many people were raving about it and made it their like favorite eyeshadow palette of that year, and so many people were raving about it. And then I tried it and I was like, this is what the hype is all about. Everybody's saying how good the shimmers were. I dislike the shimmers. Like the mattes in the palettes were stunning. The shimmers, 4 layers, and I still didn't get it as opaque as it looked in the pan. To me, that's not good eyeshadow. I don't know about you, but that doesn't really warrant anything to me. I felt that in the cake palette, the neutral boring shades that we have in so many other palettes were the shade that performed the best. Some of the mattes just didn't blend out really nice on my skin tone either. It looked very muddy, very murky, very quickly. And that's why I didn't get the Glamlite Icecream Dream or any of the Kailav palettes. All those palettes have like pastels and some bright shades, but also a bunch of warm tone neutrals. Why? Why? And then, you know, there are some shimmers, but again, very matte heavy in all of those palettes. And I was just afraid that with this brand, with how the cake palette performed on me, I was afraid that it wasn't going to look very pretty on my skin tone either. Because again, with those brighter and lighter pastel shades, I wasn't really trusting this brand to deliver when it comes to my skin tone. So that's why Glamlite, I've tried it. I didn't like it as much as everybody else, so I've come to the conclusion that it's just not my favorite brand for eyeshadow. Then the Ace Beauté Classical Paradise. This palette was sort of like on my wish list for quite some time. The Ace Beauté Oceanic palette is one of my ultimate favorites, but the Classic Paradise comes from the same series as the Slice of Paradise, which is their rainbow palette. So they did this whole Paradise collection of 4 palettes with, I believe, like the rainbow palette. There was like a purpley one with something like pinky, which was called, I believe, the Bloom. And then you had this Classical Paradise, which was like these grungy fall-inspired colors that really, really spoke to me. But because I tried Slice of Paradise in the old formula, and I didn't like the formula, it was, how should I say it? Not that pretty. It stained, it bled, especially my lower lash line, and it just didn't stay put as nicely as the Oceanic. So I've always felt Oceanic, good Ace Beauté quality, Slice of Paradise, not so great Ace Beauté quality, and because the Classical Paradise is from the same line, I never bought it. Ace Beauté has since updated their formula though, so that's why this sort of like was like, ooh, now they've updated the formula, maybe. And then I was like, no, because again, this color story by now is not that unique anymore, so I don't need to go out on a limb to try and find this eyeshadow palette, because Ace Beauté has disappeared from the European market. I bought my Oceanic and my Slice of Paradise through Beauty Bay, I think, and they're no longer on there. So I think the only way to buy from Ace Beauté at the moment is to order it directly from their website, which, you know, I don't mind it, but it's a brand I've already tried. So do I want to like pay extra for like customs and shipping fees and doing all that to try this new formula? I don't know. I think I'm just going to wait for Ace Beauté to do another like color story that I really can get down with, rather than buying one of the older palettes that already existed. Then Storybook Cosmetics, the Van Gogh Starry Night palette. This was on my wish list for like a solid year and a half, and I decided to not bite the bullet. So Storybook Cosmetics do these palettes. Are they still around? I don't hear anybody talking about them anymore. But they started, I think, with a Harry Potter inspired collection where the palette looks like a spell book, and then they also did brushes that look like wands and all that jazz, and they sort of kept that train going with like other book inspired palettes. And then they did this Van Gogh Starry Night, and I was like, that, like, Van Gogh, Dutch painter, in case you're not familiar, Starry Night is one of the most beautiful paintings he's ever painted, and they really sort of used the colors from the painting in the palette. But Storybook Cosmetics reviews aren't that positive, and they're quite expensive. So I got to try some of their brushes because one of my colleagues, when I left a previous job, bought me some. And they're very heavy, but they still feel quite cheaply made. So because I now tried the brushes, I'm like, I'm not entirely sure whether the eyeshadow palettes are going to really spark my interest. So that's why the Van Gogh Starry Night from Storybook Cosmetics, I haven't heard great reviews about their quality. At some point, I might want to try the brand, but like I said, they were doing so many sales. I don't think this brand is going to be around for very long. And then we need to discuss another Van Gogh palette. This is by Kailav. Kailav used to be called Musée Beauty, but they've changed the name. And this is a brand that a lot of people were hyping up when they first launched, and when the Van Gogh palette came out, so many people were raving about it, and I had them on my wish list for 2022 to hopefully have them do international shipping and then get some of the palettes. So the Van Gogh palette was on my wish list, and not the Rococo, Triumph of Venus, that's what it was called, which was apparently limited edition, so I don't think that's still available. The Van Gogh you can still buy, but I have since heard, like a lot of people in my comments were saying how the quality is not super duper great, like it's quite dusty and it kind of blends away into nothing, and that you do need to put some work in. And I'm like, am I going to buy that kind of quality and then pay for the shipping and handling fees, because this is a US brand. They are currently, I believe, still not shipping to my country. And at this point, I'm like, because they used to do international shipping as far as I know, but because of the whole situation with like global shipping problems, they stopped offering international shipping. And I'm like, you know, I'm over here waiting, but I've been waiting for more than a year to be able to buy from your brand. And if I have to wait that long, I'm terribly sorry, but then I'm going to move on to something else. Then the Natascha Denona Pastels palette. By now, I have developed quite a love affair with my Natascha Denona eyeshadow palettes. Some of my favorite eyeshadow palettes are by Natascha Denona. So when she came up with a pastel palette, I was like, that looks stunning. That looks like something I might buy. And then I was like, Micah, you ranked all of your pastel palettes last year. Like, I did a full ranking. I came to the conclusion that the Menagerie Pastel Pup is my favorite pastel palette. Do I then need any more? And then I looked at the palette again. I was like, ooh, it does have a lot of warm tones. So to me, it just wasn't that pastel. So that's why, with how expensive Natascha Denona is, and then I was able to see it in store myself when I was in Paris, and I was like, nope. So I swatched it, looked at it, and I was like, no can do. Thank you very much. Then Nabla's Read My Mind palette. Nabla does some really lovely eyeshadow palettes. I love their cutie palettes. I have a couple of the larger palettes that I like. But this was released, and I was like, even if this is great quality, I know I'm not going to get it. It's neutrals with greens, it seems, and it looks so similar to the Secret palette to me, which I already have by Nabla. So I was like, what's the point? Like, what are we doing here? So for me, the Read My Mind palette was just something I didn't really understand as a launch. I'm not sure how well the palette did. I haven't heard a lot of people raving about it. Just the initial launch, and now it has like completely like just petered away from my wave, what's that called? From the radio waves, the online radio waves that are beauty reviews. So yeah, for me, this is one where I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. Then we have Lois Cosmetics, and this is the Meet Me at Midnight palette. So I bought the Meet Me at the Underworld palette when that launched last year. It was a restock. I was like, great, I can try another indie brand. Lovely. They're based in the UK, so the shipping and the handling isn't like super duper outrageously expensive. And this palette was launched, and I really like the color story, like, those grungy tones. I love it. I love it. But here's why I didn't buy it. I was not in love with the quality of the eyeshadows. It felt very sort of 2012 kind of quality in terms of eyeshadow. Now, I like a buildable sheer formula, so I'm not going to harp on too much for it. But I was like, do I then want to buy another palette by the same brand if I wasn't blown away by the formula? It's like, I've tried them. Their formula is okay. It's workable shadow. But at this point in my life, with the kind of eyeshadow palette collection I have, in order for me to say I want to spend my money on this, it needs to be something completely new that I haven't tried before, or it needs to be a brand that I love, that I know, that I trust, and it needs to wow me. And it just didn't. So that's why I didn't get the Meet Me at Midnight. And then Menagerie Cosmetics Sugar High. Menagerie was a brand for a while. When it came to like colorful palettes, in my opinion, they could do no wrong. And then I tried again, they also closed down international shipping for a bit. It was really hard to buy from them, and then they kind of brought it back. I'm not sure if they're shipping to all countries again, but they brought it back, and I was able to get the Violet Ink, the Whale Song, and the Pastel Pop last year. And I was like I really like the Pastel Pop, but both the Violet Ink and the Whale Song just didn't give me what I was hoping it would bring me. And whether that's because photos online skew what these palettes look like, or whether it's just, you know, based on the formulas from Menagerie that I have tried before, and maybe they've just made some changes. But for me, there was just something about those palettes I got later that just weren't as good as the earlier ones. Like I got like the Dragon Child and the Feral palettes. Those are some of my favorite colorful color stories. But the Sugar High, I looked at it. It seems to have some flippy shades. That's what they're doing as well. And I was like, I don't think I need this. I've tried Menagerie. They are again quite expensive to buy from. And they are currently not restocking everything all at once anymore, which if you're an international shopper is just a bit more of a faff, because maybe, you know, palette A that you want to get is in stock then, and then 3 months later palette B that you want to get is in stock, and it just means you have to buy, like, pay for shipping every single time, and they ship by weight, and their palettes are heavy because they're all magnetized, so it's costly, which is why I'm sort of like, yeah, Menagerie, I've tried you. I have the palettes I like. Unless they do something that really, really, like, wows me, I'm not going to be purchasing from them anymore, I think. Then Shroud Cosmetics Creepy Cute 2. This was a palette that was released this year, and I think I said at the time that I was going to get it. I think that that's what I said in my new makeup releases. I'm going to get this palette. And then I put it on my wish list, and I was just looking at things that have come out since then, and I was like, do I really need this? I don't think so. Like, I'm just much more currently into, like, more neutral shades. I'm not really into the colors, even though these are a little bit, like, more murky, and they are a little bit more grungy leaning. So I do like a grungy palette. I was like, do I really need this in my life? Like, am I missing out? And I felt I wasn't. I've tried Shroud. I like their formula. I have the Creepy Cute. I have some, like, and I also saw some comparative swatches of this palette with some of the other palettes that Shroud does, and it just seemed to also have shades that were very, very close to other things I already have by the brand. So I was like, this is not a must-have. So I decided to take it off the wish list. And then we have the Sugar Pill Fun Size 2. So this was a palette that, when did this launch? I don't even know. I didn't see this until Lauren May Beauty started chatting about it. And I looked at it and I was like, that looks like the perfect companion palette to the Fun Size, the original. I really like my Fun Size palette. It's rainbow, but it has more neon-y vibrant shades and then very nice pastel-y shades. It's a really nice mix, some murky shades as well. And the Sugar Pill Fun Size number 2 is a lot more grungy than the first one. And I was like, oh, so good. But it's all matte. And I'm like, do I really need this in my life? And the answer was just no, I don't. I have enough grungy shades. I'm pretty sure I can use other palettes in my collection that will give me a very similar vibe to this. So that's why the Fun Size 2 from Sugar Pill, I also decided not to get. So that's it. That's everything I wanted to chat about today. These are the eyeshadow palettes that I decided not to get. Leave me a comment down below with eyeshadow palettes that you were initially interested in that you didn't decide to buy, because of course we don't have to buy everything that sparks our interest. That would be absolutely crazy. So thank you so very much for being here today. Please give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more by me. We're currently in the midst of doing eyeshadow palette month, so please come back for more if you do like eyeshadow palettes as much as I do. So I hope to see you in my next video. Take care everybody. Have a great day. Bye bye.